Time to fuel your business success. Welcome to Harmonious at Lunch. We're bringing you bite-sized advice and expert conversations to drive clarity and growth 5 days a week. Make sure you join our Facebook group at humanop.com/lunch, where listeners like you and our guests hang out so we can find harmony in business together. If you're building a business, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
What's up, Harmonious at Lunch homies? Another weekly update, the WUPdate. We're going to keep this one super quick. I just wanted to jump in here, and the 4 episodes that aired this week were crazy. We're all over the map with different topics. We talked about profit. We talked about canceling credit card debt, which is legal, that I had no idea about. Fascinating episode on Tuesday if you missed that one. And we talked about accounting, a bunch of different stuff. I hope you enjoyed the episodes this week, but I wanted to touch on what I talked about last week on the weekly update, which was the signal versus noise concept. If you haven't heard about that, go back and listen to it before you listen to this one. It'll make a whole lot more sense. But I looked at my calendar this week and I had a conversation with another podcast host. I'm going to be a guest on that show I think next week it is, or maybe the week after. Either way, it's a panel episode, and she was talking about, okay, there's one other person, there's gonna be 2 of us, 2 guests on the show, we have to coordinate schedules with. And I was like, oh, not a problem. Here's my rough availability. And she said, well, that doesn't work because this guest is in the UK, I'm in the UK, and then me personally, I am in the US. So we needed to change times around. And I realized how hard it was going to be to rearrange my schedule to accommodate this podcast appearance. And it was just after I had talked about the signal versus noise here on this episode, or the episode last week. And I was like, wow, I got a lot of work to do. I was open about it, right? On the last episode, I said, I have been terrible at calendar management lately, and also focusing on what's the signal versus what's the noise. So this week I had just a calendar overhaul. I created new calendar schedules. If you don't know what that is, and if you're not leveraging it, I'm in the Google workspace. I have Google calendars. You can set up meeting appointments. You don't need a third-party tool like TidyCal or Calendly, whatever you're using. It's phenomenal. You could just do it and embed it right in your calendar, and it's 100% accurate because it's based on your calendar. I've had some issues with Calendly and other tools, so that's a pro tip for you. But I rearranged the whole schedule. I picked different times when things were allowed to be scheduled on my calendar. I don't know about you. I like the convenience of putting out calendar links. The hard part about that is, like, there may be some things in my head that I want to do, and I may have scheduled on, say, Thursday afternoon, but not actually on the calendar. And those things kept popping up and interrupting my flow. So I've been pretty diligent this week about blocking things off, and then also just putting that focus on what's the signal, what's the noise, delineating between the two, like I talked about last week, and actually going after the signal items, quote unquote signal items. Again, if that doesn't make sense, go listen to last Friday's episode. It'll make way more sense. I broke it down. It's not my concept. It's something I heard, but I just thought it was really profound. Anyway, long story short, this week, the signal was revenue for the company, for HumanOp. We have a retreat coming up in October. If this is the first you're hearing about it, what sort of a rock are you living under? No, I'm just kidding. I'll put the link on the screen here, humanop.com/retreat. We'd love to have you there. Small group, intimate retreat. But we put the focus on this as a company. Our software products are delayed. And instead of just waiting around until they're ready, we said, well, this is something we can do now and give people an incredible experience. So we hosted one in February of this year. It went incredibly well. We got amazing feedback. The testimonials are on that webpage if you want to go check them out. But we said for the past couple of weeks now, actually months, this is the focus. This is how we are going to get people into our ecosystem, onto the software products, and really make sure we can hold their hands and not just hope they have success, but bring them into an event, a mastermind, and make it a community of people who want to grow their businesses and support their people at the same time without burning people out. People-centric business growth. That's what we're all about at HumanOp. Long story short, I had built some AI automations. I call them robots, or robots, as we lovingly call them within the walls of HumanOp. And they were working really well. The first week I had it going, it produced at least one lead, if I'm not mistaken, maybe two. Appointment booked on my calendar with absolutely zero involvement from myself, which was fantastic. So picture like going in and messaging people on LinkedIn and cold emails and Facebook and all these other ways. None of that. I didn't do a single bit of work outside of setting up the robots. And they went out there and did things for me. Gotta love AI when it works, right? Turns out I am not an AI engineer, and I knew that going into it. But I said, hey, we don't have a sales team right now. This is just something we have to do. And as the COO, well, I stepped in and picked up the slack, right? Turns out I didn't have an error management system in place. So an error happened in this workflow, and instead of alerting me or raising some sort of error message, it just stopped. They turned off and they weren't working for like 5 weeks. My bad. Should have been checking, but I was building other robots. And we were like, huh, that's kind of weird that nothing has happened. So last week and this week, dove back in, got all of that handled. And I said, this is all my time needs to be spent on is revenue generation, but through the building of robots. So I would say I did a pretty good job, to be honest with you. And I wanted to come on here and say, not to pat myself on the back, but just to say, with that focus, I practice what I preach here. With that new focus of, okay, it's revenue generation or it's noise, there's so many things I was able to get off of my plate. And another great example is even this podcast. I have it pretty well dialed in for the guest episodes. I'd say I spend about 10 minutes per episode getting it posted, live, launched, whatever you want to call it. I was able to get that down to 1 or 2 minutes now because I set up different automations on the back end. Now, if you think about that, the difference between 10 minutes and 2 minutes is not a huge deal. But even over the course of a week of episodes, it's almost an hour I'm saving every single week. And that little stuff does add up over the course of the year. It's also stuff that I don't have to do every single day. I can sit down and bang it out at one time. So the time isn't the real issue. It's the interrupted focus and the sporadic focus, if you will. So I'm able to just be laser focused on exactly what I need to do all of the time. Now, am I perfect? No, of course not. I'm human, but I did a pretty good job this week. And I just wanted to come and reiterate that message from last week of making sure that you're taking a look at what's the things that are moving the needle forward in your business, and what are the things that are noise or just keeping you stuck, spinning your tires, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you're spending time in the right place. So I took action. I did what I told you to do. I hope you did too. I rearranged my calendar. I set up new scheduling links. I blocked certain times, and I'm more diligent now about blocking time on my calendar. That's another thing I do too, is I'll just go I don't need a crazy description or title or anything like that, but I will just go on my calendar and put blocked or put focus time, whatever you want to call it. And that's how I know, okay, this is the time that's blocked on my calendar. It's protected. Nobody can interrupt me. No scheduling links can get in my way and interrupt my flow. And that's how I kind of took back a little bit of control of my time. And it's an ongoing thing, right? I mean, 6-7 months ago, I had this lockdown. Then we got busy, things changed. It kind of got out of my control. And now here we are locking it down again. So I would say wherever you are with your calendar management, your time management, as we like to call it, your serenity, take an audit, see where you are, and make sure you're focusing on the right things. But if you want to join us at the HumanOp retreat, humanop.com/retreat, I do want to put that invite out there. We have a few spots left. It's capped at 23. We have about half of them people committed to so far. And we've only been promoting it really for 2 weeks. And if you think about that, the robots were falling asleep over the last 6 weeks. That's pretty good considering the slots are going really fast. So I would love to have you join us. If you want to learn more about it, go check out that retreat. There's a link to schedule a call and learn about it. But if you're a business owner who's gotten to the point where you're running a team of people and it's a little outside of your comfort zone, we're going to help you understand who you are at your core, who you are as a leader based in physics and science using our technology. Then we're going to understand what that looks like in the context of your business. Did you build a business? Have you built a business so far that's compatible with who you are as a leader and as a person? Then we're going to marry those two together and say, what's something that if we accomplish this in the next 90 days would make this whole experience 100% worth it? And you would have paid double. We call it your 2x ROI 90-day blueprint. We do that on day 3. On day 4, we figure out what's going to get in your way, prevent them, figure out strategies, what's going to, of how to get around potential roadblocks. And then we meet every 2 weeks after that as a group. Again, this is the community mastermind feel to make sure you actually accomplish your goals. It's the only retreat that I've ever been to, only event that is actually committed to making sure you get the results that you came seeking, and not just some, rah-rah dancing and jumping event. I've been to enough of those. Nobody needs more of those events. Tony Robbins can keep his events. This event is going to get you to where you want to be faster and funner than you ever thought possible in business. That's my commitment to you. Go check it out. Watch the testimonials. I'd love to see you there. But in the meantime, I'm so glad you're listening to Harmonious at Lunch. We'll see you back next week for 4 more amazing guest episodes. And I'll see you back right here on the Wupdate at the end of next week. See you.
Another episode of Harmonious at Lunch in the books. I hope this episode made you think and you grabbed some actionable ideas to propel your business. Don't forget to like, comment your takeaways, and subscribe wherever you're listening so we can help more entrepreneurs just like you achieve harmony in their life and business. For cutting-edge tools that bring clarity to your people and processes, check out humanoff.com to download our app